Well, last March, against expectations, the state Labor government won a fourth term in office after an independent MP gave his crucial vote. Jeff Brock's controversial decision provoked a barrage of criticism and numerous death threats. But today, the former smelter worker, now a cabinet minister, says he wouldn't change a thing. Matt Doran reports.
12 months is a long time in politics.
It's a tremendous decision to make. Quite frankly, I wish I could just stand back and say, I don't want anything to do with this.
That initial aversion to the spotlight wasn't helped by some members of the electorate.
I had lots of people criticise me, threaten to kill me. I had 4 death threats, which affected my family also.
Despite those attacks, the now Regional Development Minister says it's been a worthwhile experiment.
You're not going to please everybody. But certainly I believe it hasn't been a hostile reception out there. No way in anything near that.
Discussion has raged about the deal between Premier Jay Weatherill and the member for Frome in exchange for his support.
And that's not unusual. We can recall that Peter Lewis in 2002 had a long checklist of initiatives that he wanted to see Mike Rann commit to before Peter Lewis backed Mike Rann in as Premier in the aftermath of the 2002 election.
Central to the debate is an issue close to his heart, the more than $500 million underwriting of the Nyrstar smelter in his hometown of Port Pirie. He spent 30 years working his way up from the smelter's sludge pits to middle management before moving into local government.
My greatest achievement from the community of Port Pirie and the region, of course, and also for the state. Now, if that had gone down, it would have been devastating, not only for Port Pirie, but also the region of Port Pirie, but also it would be not a good image for the whole state because the state would have suffered.
Such an important project for Port Pirie, for its not only for now but for the long-term future. His role was absolutely integral in part in that in getting that project up.
Some believe the self-proclaimed Minister for all regions may have just been looking after his patch.
The voters of Frome obviously wouldn't be thinking that, but no doubt there are other parts of South Australia that are looking enviously.
Some of the money that's flowed into his own electorate, it'd be nice to see some more of that coming our way. But all in all, we need to work with the government we've got on hand at the time and do the best we can.
Jeff Brock admits he's not perfect.
Everybody's making mistakes. Some of the things I've had decisions I've had to make has been heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. It's hard. It's hard decisions sometimes. But if you make a mistake, you try and rectify it.
But he still maintains his vote to uphold marine park sanctuary zones was the right choice, despite the heated and at times personal debate on its effect on regional SA.
This is not a decision I've taken very, very lightly.
Well done, mate. Well done. Despite the heavy workload of the past 12 months, Jeff Brock believes he's made the right choice. And it hasn't scared him off throwing his hat in the ring once more.
As for the next term, yes, I will be putting my hand up, and the answer to your probably question is that what happens then? It's up to the people, and if I get back in, I'll be very grateful.
At the moment, you'd expect he'd get back if he chooses to stand again in 2018.
Many in his mid-north stronghold and further afield believe he's probably the best man for the job.
The issues he's had in front of him and the time he's had to put into it have been well spent. I think he's starting to run out of puff. He's had a lot of work to do and a lot of area to cover.
Now, as we move into the next part of his time in the ministerial role, we want to see some deliverables, and I think we can get there.
I've got lots of energy. I've got a very supportive family, and I'm very, very comfortable with the position I've got.
A position he says he'll hold on to right through until the next election in 2018. Matthew Doran, ABC News.
The state and federal governments are blaming each other over why drought-stricken South Australian farmers haven't been able to access a federal loan scheme announced 7 months ago. Farmers had slammed the delays unacceptable, but late today a resolution was reached that will see loans available within weeks.
Some have called it Australia's forgotten drought, and South Australian farmers feel they've been forgotten altogether.
From the outside looking in, it would appear that there's been politics being played.
Federal Agriculture Minister Barnaby Joyce announced assistance for South Australian farmers in July 2014, months after it was provided to Queensland and New South Wales. But 7 months later, that $10 million of funding is yet to flow to SA farmers doing it tough in the far north and the southeast.
Well, the feeling is one of frustration. You're told something's going to happen and it hasn't happened.
We've made the money available. We've made the administration money available. We've put down the criteria of how you assess it. We've given it an area of a margin of error. It is working in other states.
And that's the real sore point.
For guys up there in the far northeast to see what's happening over in the border, where this money has been allocated and is being implemented, it is most frustrating that they just can't obtain the money.
The Commonwealth argues the delay is in part from the South Australian government disputing Bureau of Meteorology mapping being used to assess who is eligible for funding.
Everything that the federal government needs to do has been done. Really, the ball lies in South Australia's court, basically accept that we can't have different conditions for different states.
There's a concern that with any further delays, funding that is released to South Australian farmers will be too little, too late. But it now appears the bickering may be over. In a statement to the ABC, the State Primary Industries Department has confirmed agreement on the loan guidelines has now been reached, and loans should be available in a fortnight. Matthew Doran, ABC News.